G'day and welcome. I am down at Chirnside Park in Werribee on this beautiful Tuesday morning, Anzac Day. Thought I'd get out and get some fresh air to do this review. So I'm just going to pan around this magnificent ground, which is about, 2 drop punts away from my house in good old Werribee. This is a magnificent venue. If you've never been down here before, do yourself a favour and get down here. I reckon our VFL team, our Carlton VFL team, will play Werribee in a game on this ground during season 2023. It really is a sight to behold. So pan around. The old grandstand there behind the goals at the river end. Come back through. It's also a cricket ground in the summer. And this wonderful new facility here. Clearly one of the best local football grounds in Victoria. Although it is amazingly peaceful down here, if you sort of look around Chirnside Park, it feels rural. But just in the background, you can hear, this is Werribee, and you can hear police sirens and cars and trains, and yeah, but it is a glorious place to come to. Just for a bit of quiet time and I suppose just to reflect. And I am super calm at the moment, and that's why I wanted to do this review outside and in the tranquility of Chirnside Park, because I am calm. And my direct message is, for the first time, I reckon, in 5 years of doing this now, I was just flooded with messages from people I didn't know to people I do know, wanting to know when this review would be out and what I was going to say, and but I felt like this during the game and also after the game. And I suppose there's an expectation that, given my reputation and history of going on a rant and sinking the boots into the football club, and that this would be a really brutal and savage review and assessment of where we sit at the moment. But it's probably anything. It's anything but that. And it's not that my thoughts and opinions have been validated, because I want my club to be good. I want it to be good. But I have to say it as I see it, on what we look at from a fan's point of view. And I think you all know me, that I don't want to believe in hype, and I don't necessarily want to go, I trust, or I've got faith. And in my preview of this game against the Saints, who are flying at the moment, they'll face some challenges, just like Adelaide will, who gave us a touch-up last week, and now St Kilda are not necessarily giving us a touch-up, but exposed us. The method was exposed. And that has to be a concern, given where these clubs have come from. And we would like to think that we're further advanced. But it's round 6 and they'll face a lot of challenges. But I don't think it's just going to be like that for St Kilda for the whole season. We're facing those challenges now in the first 6 rounds. And it's not good. It's not good. I felt it was going to be this way. And also said in my preview that we would not win this game based on what I've seen. We would not win this game. I was pretty straightforward with that. So I can't come away from that now and just go on a fucking complete rant. I don't know. I need something, I suppose, if I'm going to support this football club, I need something to hang my head on. And I don't want to look too far forward. But if I'm now going to be, like a lot of our supporters are, like 95% of our supporters are, just completely shit the bed. And then it's generally the ones who were sucked in by the hype in the first place. Sucked in. Remember the first video I did when Michael Voss and Brian Cook and Luke Sayers took over and all that type of stuff? I said they are only appointments. Only appointments. Because this club was a basket case before those guys arrived. And you don't make those changes based on the back of just a few little things. But they're only appointments. We need to see results, and we're not getting those results. So a year and a bit in to Michael Voss's tenure as football coach, there has to be concern. There has to be concerns in the way we are playing. Now, we got a fair bit right in that game, but the game's not about just cracking in and giving effort, because that's a very experienced midfield, and they all found some form, and it's not perfect in there by any stretch, but they all found some form, so it has to be a positive. But the inability to put a score on the board and break down what is a very, very well-disciplined defensive St Kilda team, who are not just that. They have got an extra layer and they suffocate you, and then when it's their time to go, they go and they make you pay. And then Ross Lyon's ability to just slightly shift the magnets at half time, with Sinclair going obviously into the middle, and his ball use and his speed, and he did break the game open. That shows a coach who has the players on board, but there's a shrewdness about him as well. But I'm not in the camp of just completely giving up a year and a bit in. Do I like what I see? No, I don't. But I haven't liked what I've seen for, I suppose, a year and a bit. So the challenge is, I want to grasp on something. So it's the ultimate challenge now, because, and it's a challenge from a whole club perspective. Not just the coaches and the players, but a whole club perspective. And I'm intrigued and fascinated to see how it plays out. And I'm going to barrack as fucking hard as I can for this group to change. Because it can change. It can. And it is dire. It may seem really dire at the moment, but it can change. Because we are getting a bit right. It's not enough. But Michael Voss isn't going anywhere. He's just not going anywhere. A 3-year contract. And there's a lot of people behind the scenes who have their fingerprints on this appointment. Yeah, and a reflection of the way we are playing goes on the coach. He has a responsibility for that, but not just him, also his line coaches. But I always go back to this, and I will continue to go back to this. And I said they're only appointments. They're only appointments. And the results will determine whether they are successful appointments or not. But I was always intrigued on why Michael Voss. Why? And I don't want to go into who the alternatives were at the time, because it doesn't really matter anymore, because Michael Voss is our coach and he's got a 3-year contract and he'll serve out those 3 years. And what that looks beyond next year, we're just going to have to wait and see. It is a waiting game. But as I said, there are a lot of experienced people with their fingerprints on this appointment. And not just Carlton people. Now, people will say this is the Carlton way. Yeah, the Carlton way. Greg Williams, David Parkin, who are on the subcommittee, Williams, the football director, Luke Sayers, new president of the football club. I suppose the big one, from my point of view, is Brian Cook. Now, this is not sinking the boots to Brian Cook at all. But I was always interested from an outsider's point of view, coming into the football club and given his experience as arguably the best football administrator that has ever been in the game, that he ticked, and I know he came in a little bit later to the process, but he ticked this off. He ticked it off, and his appraisal of the appointment of Michael Voss was just glowing. Glowing. And I mean glowing. So I wanted to know why, and I've always gone back to this. Why? And he was really clear. Really clear. Every interview he had in the first 6 months, when we were going along really well in the first part of Voss's coaching tenure, when he was first appointed, and we're not necessarily hearing a lot now. That's okay. That's okay. I'd be interested, but we're not hearing a lot. We did hear a fair bit when we were going well. Was Michael Voss was appointed as the coach of the Carlton Football Club after a thorough process, exhaustive process, based on, with the words of Brian Cook, a great leader of men, a great leader of people, a person that can build culture, and I mean, I suppose, whole club culture, and drive that. But he always alluded in every interview that I've been able to source that there were still flaws in Michael Voss's coaching, and that was around tactics and whether he is a great game day coach. And they would do everything in their power to set up and support him in regards to assistance. And they would do that, and they would set it up, and then basically hand the keys over to him. And this is Brian Cook, who has been in the game a long, long time, who I think has never sacked a coach in his time at the West Coast Eagles and his time at Geelong. I think Gary Ayres was maybe not going to be offered a contract, but not essentially sacked when Cook first arrived, and they were in just financial disarray at the time, Geelong, and they couldn't really afford to keep him. So they weren't going to renew his contract, so he just resigned. But he's never been in a situation where he sacked the coach. And there would have been times, under when Bomber Thompson and even Chris Scott. So what we're seeing at the moment is a team that lacks method and system and not being able to get the layers right. So I keep going back to the appointment. That was Michael Voss's clear weakness. And the challenge is on now. The challenge is on from a whole club perspective. And I want it to fucking change. I really want it to change. And and the thing is, the other things he said about Michael Voss was fantastic resilience, determination. And now all of this is going to be on show now. The pressure has come. It really has come. The white noise, the external noise, which you can't go away from. But I feel like within the club, they'll be pretty calm, really calm. So I'm not going to get too carried away. Of course, I've got concerns about the coach and the playing list. But fuck, I'd love to give them, from a fan's point of view, the opportunity to turn this around, and how, just like any other coach we've had in the past, the opportunity to turn this around, and there is a genuine fucking opportunity to turn this round. Six games into a season. I'm not going on a rant now, guys. I'm not going on a rant right now.